Alright, there's it going. Fuzz Dark Month here. Fuzz Dark Month. Remember that name. Don't ever forget it. Good morning folks, how's it going? It's Dave's Cattys. So I'm out in the shed again, having a cup of Darjeeling tea actually. So, you know, Barney, still shut it though, so. Right, I thought what I'll do in this little video then is talk about some of the clothing that I wear throughout the year. So let's get on with it, I suppose. Right, so when we're working, you know, sort of like, if you're new to this subject or you're not, you know, we often work on a layering system with our clothing to keep us obviously warm during the winter, and obviously a different system for keeping us cool in the summer. Now for me personally, I am someone that really overheats a lot, especially in the summer and even in the winter. If you ever see me when I'm out running, you know, you see my pictures when I'm in the gym, I'm telling you what, 10 minutes and I'm sweating buckets. So that's what I'm like. So I have to be very careful, especially during the winter months, how I try to be a little bit frugal with what clothing I wear. So let's take a look at what I use. Right, so during the summer and across, well, all 4 seasons, yeah, we're talking about here in the UK. For me personally, okay, I can get away with wearing decent underpants, undercrackers, whatever you want to call them. I tend to buy ones that are merino wool because you can wear them for a bit longer than normal and they don't kick up. I've worn one pair of pants over time for about a week, and there was no aroma that came off those underpants, so it makes sense to sort of use merino wool. I'm not into 100% wool products as such, like woolly jackets and things like that. I can't stand the itchiness. I don't know about you. Me personally, I'm into fleeces and stuff like that, so if it ain't fibre pile or a fleece, I ain't having nothing. Alright, so for example now with my undercrackers, I'm not going to start dropping names and everything else, but these are just your normal sort of, you know, undercracker. For ladies, then obviously that's something that I don't know about, but you'd have to sort out your own sort of avenue when it comes to that. But these are my undercrackers that I wear. I've got these ones, and I've also got some ones that are sort of running ones, if you like, that are more synthetic. Those ones are merino wool, these ones are synthetic. Stands to reason, obviously wearing synthetic, stuff starts kicking up after a while. Sock wise, merino wool all day long, okay. One again, because they seem to just, I don't know, to me they seem to just last better, I think, than some of the other sort of blender socks. But that's not to say, I've had Bridgedales over the years, I've had Brasher socks, I've still got spare the Army white Arctic socks, I think they are. I keep a pair of them in a bag. So that's sort of like kind of my base layer. Even in the winter, my base layer top will just be my base layer. I'm not someone that wears long johns. I don't wear long john trousers or a long john top. So for example, these ones, I mean, I'm, you know, name dropping and all that. I mean, the stuff you often see me wearing stuff by Arc'teryx. Now Arc'teryx is quite expensive and I do not buy it. Okay, I do not buy my Arc'teryx stuff. Mrs. C buys me the Arc'teryx stuff because she knows how tight I am when it comes to buying certain things. Alright, but I love their clothing. Alright, but stands to reason. Alright, so this is a merino wool one. You tend to see me in this quite a lot, you know, throughout the year, summer and winter. If that one's in the wash and I'm not wearing that one, then I've got a cheaper version. These are actually from a company over here in the UK, or a shop in the UK called Decathlon. My mate John, who camps with us, the old fella, these are actually Solognet ones. He put me onto these, and they're great. And I believe that John's the same. John has an issue with sort of, you know, really overheating, getting really hot. and sweating and everything else when he's out and about, you know. So you know, there's obviously there's more than one of us, I dare say. And this is another sort of top that I got that tends to be my base layer, and that's the one that I wear next to my skin. I won't have nothing else under between that and my actual, you know, my body, my skin, as it were. All right. And after that, it'll either be this one again, which you've seen me in pretty much year round, yeah. And then quite recently I had this one off my mate Jobbo, and I'll wear this as a base. I'll wear this as a sort of a mid layer, if you like. All right. Now, if it gets really cold, you know, I mean, here in the UK where I live down in the south of the UK. So, you know, the temperatures can get down to sort of, you know, -6, -7, depending on how the weather wants to go. But more times, 9 times out of 10, during the colder months, it's more damp, rainy. Maybe if we do get a tiny bit of snow, then that turns to water quite quickly. So, sort of kind of competing with more wetter conditions and damper conditions than the real dry cold. I think dry cold, I think for the moisture temperature to be reduced, has to go down to about -6 degrees. You know, and you know, especially where I live, don't really seem to get it that much. All right, but then if I'm going to go for something else as a sort of like an outer layer, as it were, between sort of this and say a jacket, it will be this. This is a Swazi top. I've actually got one of the old. These are the old. I used to have the original Helly Hansen field jackets that were about. We used to have them I used to have them when I was serving in the military. And my mate Chris, Wilderness Nomad, had one of these. And these are sort of like a Dutch Army issue. They've got thumb loops on the pocket and they're nice and heavy. And this is a jacket really that I kind of take to work during the winter. So normally I'm someone that wears shorts all year round. So even when I'm at work, I'll be in shorts all the time. When I go out running, I'm in my shorts, even throughout the real colder months. But then what I will do is that I'll always sort of layer up top. So I've got a gilet on, and then this will go on as well as my sort of keeping my body warm, okay, when I'm going to work. But to sort of be around camp, maybe if I'm not doing nothing, if I'm just sitting around, these are great. But if I'm sort of moving, then I'm going to be cutting, you know, I'm going to be taking gear off, because as I say, I'm one of them people where my boiler really overheats. So trousers, you know, yep, you can go and buy second-hand surplus gear and all the rest of it. Totally up to you, especially if you're someone that's new to sort of going, you know, doing bushcraft and maybe that sort of thing. But for me, I personally like these trousers by that company. Okay, RVC. I'm not going to promote them because, to be quite honest, I don't like their company, but I like their products, if that makes sense. You see me wearing these a lot. I've got about 3 pairs of these. One pair went to Trouser Heaven a couple of years ago because I was just wearing them all the time. But I've got another couple of pairs of these, one in orange, one in brown, and then these. And they are, for me personally, I like them. I love the fit of them. I like that they're sort of quite snug on my legs. I don't like trousers that are too baggy, especially around the ankles and everything else, because you end up getting you could potentially get mud on them and stuff like that if you're not wearing a set of gaiters or something like that. So for me personally, I like something a little bit more snug. I'm also one for knee pads. These are, you know, I always, when I buy these trousers, I always look at the always read the gump about the ones where I can put inserts into them. And these particular, this company does their own ones, but the ones that I've got in here are the old Fellraven knee pads. And yeah, I like them. They tick the box for me, so I like them. Hat wise, yeah, during the summer, I mean, look at them old buggers. Look at them. So I'll have to wear something like that to keep the sun off my ears. All right. About the only time I do wear this hat really is sort of in the summer, just to protect protect those old big lobes from the sun. All right. I've got woolly hats. I've got my my Afghani hat, my pack-hole that people want me to start wearing again. They all think it's my trademark, but I cannot wear that until it's like right height in the winter, because that is 100% wool product that makes not only my head itch, but makes it, but obviously it's 100% wool, so it really does make me really hot. So with that, I don't sort of wear that hat until it's really deep in the winter. You know, I'm in baseball caps and all the other stuff. I've got beanies and everything else, but sort of like I'll just mix it up. I like my flat cap as well. As the weather starts changing, I like wearing that a bit more as well. Makes me look a little bit more dignitary, doesn't it? So as my outer jacket, I've got a couple, haven't I? You know, I've had loads over the years, from different companies and everything else. This is my old Helicontex. This is the shirt that I've basically turned into, had a few mods done on it, had the cuffs put on it, put a hood on it, and little things like that. And I do like this jacket. This is kind of my, well, I don't know, it just depends whenever I want to wear it. If I want to wear it, I'll wear it, you know. I did have the Pilgrim smock by Helicontex, but recently, as you well know if you keep up with the videos, I've got hold of the SAS one, or their copy of the SAS smock, which I'll be wearing that pretty much most of the time during the winter months now. And then when we talk about waterproofs, I mean, I'm not really someone that wears waterproofs that much. I have got Gore-Tex coats, you know. I was trying to just find where I had one down here. No, I haven't got it. I can't remember where I put it anyway. It doesn't matter. But I've got this one that I picked up a little while ago. This is just like a waterproof shell. In my sort of, you know, in my sort of lighter kit, in that Hill People gear, I've got a little shelter in there, and that can be converted into a poncho if I need it. And then what I do like to do as well with my jackets, I do like to sort of spray them up, just put a little bit of like Fab Seal Gold on them, or Storm Shore or something like that, whatever your choice is, just to sort of give it a little bit more showerproofness. And most of the time when I'm in the woods, you're reasonably sheltered, I think, rather than you are sort of more exposed, say, on a mountain range. On a mountain range, slightly different ball game. You're a lot more exposed to the inclement weather when it comes to winds, especially if you're working up at altitude and stuff like that as well. So that's my opinion, and that seems to work for me, sort of where I am down here in the south of England. So if we look at footwear then, normally during the summer months I love wearing these. These are like slippers, these are hokers. I bought these originally for a little bit of running, and also when I did the fan dance, so I had a nice pair of sort of, you know, lightweight cushion, and hokers are good footwear, I think. And again, I spoke to my mate Chris, Wilderness Nomad, when he did the excuse me, when he did the West Highland Way, and these always used to come up a little bit sort of tight footed, but since then they must have they do wider fitted footwear, and these seem to sort of quite nice. I like them. The only thing with these, they do sort of, obviously during the you know, having them use them quite a bit, they do sort of, the brambles do sort of take off the outer layer. All right, they've still got the Gore-Tex liner on the inside. This one's probably a little bit worse, but they still work good. I think if I will buy another pair of these, but what'll happen is I'll probably buy a pair in leather as opposed to just this fabric stuff, which I like. And then obviously the other boots, what I will change into as the weather starts changing to accommodate the gaiters, are these by Brand Cozy. And yeah, I like these boots, really good, really light. I mean, they're light as anything, and I'll never take the gaiters off. These are Helicontex gaiters. I've had Berghaus Yeti Strata gaiters that I used to use in the army, but you do need a particular type of boot with them to obviously not compress the boot, because the rind on them is very, very tight when you put them on. But I do like these. These are good with these gaiters. That sort of like ticks the box for me, really. And I think that's about it. Now, normally, as I say, I will carry an extra kind of jacket in my rucksack, I would like to bring your attention to another channel that I've recently been watching, and it's well, the guy is actually John Barklow, gentleman out in America who has been involved with the military and stuff like that, does hunting out in Alaska and everything else. And I'll put a link to maybe a couple of his videos in the description if you want to go down and have a look. But what I did like was some of his ideas about saying when they fall into rivers and stuff like that. Now, you know, again, not really a big issue here, but it's good to have it in your arsenal, maybe just to watch the video for interest. But he talks about rewarming and stuff like that, stuff that maybe things that get overlooked, and he presents it in a good way. And he actually, there's a one of them where him and a friend actually do go through the whole process of doing a rewarm from being totally submerged in water, so that might be of interest to you. All right, so I do like to carry an extra warm piece of clothing in my pack, just for, you know, just in case I do get that bit colder, if I haven't got a fire, and so on and so forth. All right, so there it is, folks. What do I say? Thanks for watching this one. All right, again, share your comments and suggestions and ideas and everything in the comments down below. Check out the description for the links to those videos, and thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Yeah, go on. Get Lloyd. Go on, off you go. Go on. Get out of here. Don't come back. Not until the next video, anyway. Go on. Get out of it. Getcha.